Then brings us to guinea fowls. Guinea fowls demand high, market demand and consumer acceptability high. Land and space, we give it low to medium, just like poultry or even less than poultry. Well, it's poultry, less than chickens, sorry. Return on investment is high, especially if you are raising them on the semi-intensive or extensive system. They virtually take care of themselves to a certain level. Then technical know-how, we gave it a low to medium. Labor and time cost low. Health management and disease medium, especially if you can get them past the kits stage, then you are good to go. But up until up until they pass the kit stage, it can be problematic. Then feed availability, just like poultry. Feed cost, we gave it medium, and scalability, we gave it medium. It's not as easy as chickens to scale, but it also can be scaled. Good. Then the +1. So we finish with the big 6, but we come to the +1. Tilapia or catfish farming, fish farming. In Ghana, the two main, I know some people in the Volta region are doing shrimp and some are doing a few others, but the two main species are tilapia and catfish. And catfish is gaining momentum because it's easier to raise catfish as compared to tilapia. With tilapia, if you are not doing it in flowing water and you are doing it in tanks, most likely you will make a loss and struggle to get your tilapia to even 600 grams in 4 months. But with catfish, even in a tank, in a barrel, with good feeding, you can get it to close to 2 kg in 4 months. So now people are shifting towards catfish a lot more. So market demand high, land and space requirements low for this. Return on investment is high. 4-5 months, you get your money back. Technical knowledge and skill requirement is quite low. I recommend this for pensioners we consult with a lot of the time. In the morning, you come put your feed, you see them feed, you go and have your day. In the evening, you come scatter some feed again. There isn't much to do for the months until you are draining the pond. So technical knowledge and skill requirement is quite low. Labor is quite low. Health and disease management is relatively low, feed availability is medium. Feed cost is high. Scalability is medium to high. So the feed availability is medium, but the feed is expensive. And scalability is medium to high. Please note your questions. When we come to the Q&A, you will be able to ask your questions. So here we are. We have been able to deal with these 7 different, the big 6 plus 1. I'm now briefly going to present how to start a business, an animal farm business in Ghana. Let me start by saying this. A lot of the time, because most of us growing up, there were some animals around the house, or sometimes we've even gone to school about it. We have certain perceptions about what it takes to start. How do you start an animal farming business? The first thing we would say, and in the notes that we will send out on Tuesday, I think there are 17 explained points on how to start, but I've just taken out about 10 of them for us to talk about. The first one, which I think is the most important, is establish your market connections. You see, there's a difference between someone telling you that there's market for chicken. There can be market of chicken in Ghana, but there may not be market of chicken for you. Let me give you a practical example. Years ago, I decided to go into layers. So what was the first thing I did? I built my structures. I built a 4,000, at that time, a 4,000 capacity poultry farm. Then I went to Kumasi and got day-old chicks. I purchased the feed, got my feed mixing done well, started raising the birds, and then the birds were from about 4 months, 20, 22 weeks, they start dropping eggs. 25 to 30, you should get, then it peaks a couple of weeks later. Now, all of a sudden, now I had eggs. I had been praying for the day eggs would drop. Then eggs dropped. Then they started dropping. Then I was told that everybody wants to buy eggs. So I took my eggs to the market. Everybody wants to buy eggs, but nobody wanted to buy my eggs. Why? Almost every person who was selling in the market already had a supplier. We're in the city of Tamale. So many people were bringing eggs from Doma, and they bring eggs weekly. They have a certain cost of bringing the eggs. Now, here I was sitting with basins. At a point, I had filled up all my crates that we were now packing eggs in basins. And when these market women come and see that you have so many eggs and you don't have market, if, for instance, at that time, let's say, or let's use today's times, let's say a crate is going for 50 CDs, they would offer something like 30 CDs. And when you refuse, they'll walk away. And a couple of days later, you will call them because you needed market. The mistake most people make when they are starting a venture is that they don't start marketing until they have the products. Remember that if you speak to 100 people about your product, about 10 people will show interest, and out of the 10, only 2, maximum 3 people will purchase. So in engaging 100 people, only about 2 people are going to purchase. So the first thing you need to do before you even start the business is to be sure that there's market for the business. How can you be sure there's market for the business? Pretend you have it and go around. I have goats for sale. They'll, oh, we don't want goats. Oh, give us your contact. Oh, you begin to judge the market. And when you start production, start looking for market. If even maintaining the market means that at the beginning you have to buy from someone and just retail. For instance, if you have layers and your layers are 2 months old, it may make sense to be retailing for now to build your customer base till you have your own to supply. So don't wait till your farm is ready before you start looking for market. The second thing is choose the type of animal farming that suits you and your time. Don't be stuck on one animal. That's a mistake I made in the early parts. If I had pivoted early enough in business, I think I would have made much more money in animal farming. If you are engaging it as a business, don't become emotionally attached to any particular animal. If in your location ducks will sell, produce ducks. I know you may love goats. Have a few goats in your backyard that you can be playing with in the evenings, but produce ducks. If guinea fowls sell in your area, produce guinea fowls. Don't choose the type of animal farming that suits you and suits the market that is around you if you want to run it as a business. All right? Then develop a business plan. It's so important. A business plan is not only about looking for a loan. A business plan allows you to document the stages, why you are doing the business, what your goal is, who your market is, what your market strategies are, what your exit plan is. You should be able to crunch the financials and have your cash flows. Don't start a business until you have done the cash flows. Yes, because remember something about business. Sales is not equal to profits. You need to remember that about business. The fact that you are selling eggs doesn't mean you are making a profit. And sometimes you are selling a crate of eggs, and on each crate, your profit is actually 2 CDs. So in order to make 100 CDs, do the math. So if you do not, yes, we know goats sell. How much is it going to cost me to produce a goat? I'm going to build the structure. I'm going to raise the goat. Then you even know how many goats you must raise And when you will now get your initial investment back, all of that is in the business plan. Don't go into a business venture because your father used to farm goats when you were in the village and you know you will love farming goats, or your mother was a poultry farmer, or you dreamt and in the dream you saw chickens flying over the bed and you woke up and said, hey, it is God. He says I should go into chicken farming. Someone called me the other day and said, I'm not laughing at the person. The person said, I had a dream and I saw a lot of duck eggs. I'm wondering, is God telling me to go into duck farming? Sorry about me laughing. Please develop a good business plan. Crunch the numbers first. Let it make economic sense first. Don't go into a farming venture out of passion. Passion does not pay the bills. Passion will have creditors chasing you down the street. All right. Acquire land and understand the environmental conditions. We saw on the news where farming for Africa, he started a major goat farm, and then the people said it's a taboo to farm goats here. You see, one thing you must understand about agriculture is that when it begins to work, your neighbors begin to get jealous. I remember one time our poultry farm was reported to environmental control by our neighbors who were far away. And why? They said the farm was disturbing them. And so when environmental control came onto the farm, they said, your neighbors have reported you. They say you have dead birds around and so on and so forth. And we said, well, this is a surprise visit. Can you even smell methane? Because we were very, very careful about our biosecurity and everything. But if you don't look at the environment well, people around, once it begins to look successful, people begin to throw a fit. It's a Ghanaian thing. You may need to learn to deal with it. Then build the appropriate housing. Get consultancy when you are putting up your building. The direction in which your building is even facing will determine how hot the building will become. I see people they are going to build a farm structure and they build it north-south. That structure will always be hot, no matter the animals you are keeping in it. Convention makes us understand that when you are putting up a farm structure, the narrow sides are supposed to face east and west, and the broad sides are supposed to face north and south. Why? The building will be cool throughout the day. And when the sun is rising on the east, it's a narrow side. The place doesn't overheat. You can manage your temperatures better. So understand the construction of your buildings. Acquire quality breeds. I'm a breeder. Acquire quality breeds. Make sure the animal you are getting, especially if you are going into pigs, you are going into goats, you are going into cattle, acquire a breed that is acclimatized to where you are. Maybe I'm a bit of a purist, but I have a problem when I see people who want to do goat farming and they are so interested in importing foreign breeds. Even if it's a crossbreed, even with that one, personally, if it's a project and you want fast results, you do a crossbreeds to say this is the results we are getting. But a study was done where they looked at our indigenous breeds and looked at the imported breeds, and we found out that I wasn't part of that research, that what it costs to maintain the breed, if you had gone for the local breed, you'll be far better. So be certain you have the right breed. If you are choosing poultry, be careful about the farm you go for the day olds from. I'm not going to mention names, but there are certain farms in Ghana, if you go for day olds from them, sometimes you have up to 20% being cockerels when you ask for layers. There are also certain farms that we know that their birds do not survive well. So make sure you are doing that. Acquire quality breeds. Implement good management practices. Financial management is key. Staff training and welfare. Now, let me say this as someone who has done this for years. Hire slowly, fire fast. Hire slowly. Do your background checks. The moment you realize the worker is misbehaving, fire them. Maybe question and answer, I will explain further.